Oh my god, is that Shri? Yes, it is Shri. Where has Shri been? Shri has been everywhere, here and there, but also not really here. So I thought I might come on back here and do some fun stuff, like what I've been up to all this time. And all this time I have been doing the same thing for the past 4 months, has just been practicing swarams for my Kadahara prayer. So I have my yeah, that's right. I basically moved because I got a job in another state, so I'm no longer have my beautiful messy bed to have as my background. I also don't have my Shruti box. I only have an app on my phone which has the Shruti, and I was telling my mom how bad the Shruti box sounds and how it sounds like it's yelling at me and blaring in my face. And you know how they say to tune out that negativity in your life, but what if my negativity stems from my Shruti box on my app, and if I were to tune out my Shruti box, then that basically defeats its purpose. It is no longer a Shruti box, it is an Shruti box. Anyway, yes, I have been practicing. I have been practicing every day almost. Not yesterday, because yesterday was a holiday. Merry Christmas, I guess. No, I just slept all of yesterday, so that's basically what I did. So what I have been doing, I have been practicing my swarams for my song Rama Ni Samanam Yevaru in the Rago Kalahara Priya, not Harabara Kabab. But yeah, so that's basically what I've been doing for the past 3 or 4 months, has just been doing swaras. And finally, the past 2 weeks, I have been putting in real solid effort, because every time before that, my teacher would be like, you gotta practice, bro. You gotta put in at least an hour a day. And you know what I did? Last week, every single day, I practiced swaras for 3 hours a day. And I finally had a class with him where it was like a conversation. He would say one sentence and I would say another sentence. And it was great. We were totally on the same level. It was basically like I was a professional and like amazing. But every time I go on and I'm like, how to do swaras for what is it? Swara Sanchara? Swara Kalpana swaras? One of them. Whatever. I'm like, how do you do it? And then there are all these like professionals and people who can already do it flawlessly, and they're like, oh, you can just do this and you can do that, and like it's just perfect. It comes in my mind. Maybe you should come with like natural born talent and whatnot. And I'm just like, excuse me, if I could do that, do you think I would be here if I could follow your professional ways? Tell me how it was when you were a child and you were learning and you didn't get it, but then you were a child in that prime period where children just learn everything. So good for you. But I need help from someone who is in the process and can like is actually seeing improvement as they're doing, not from people who know everything. Okay, that's not what I need. I need help from like actual help. So that's why I'm here, because I am improving. I can tell in myself that I'm improving. So I thought, why not, come on here as a beginner and come on and give my worldly notes about how I am learning my Swara Sancharam. So for Kalahara Priya. Now, Kalahara Priya I always thought was a super boring raga, and I never really vibed with it. I never meshed with it. I always thought there's nothing so outstanding about the raga. And yeah, but now I think it's just due to Stockholm syndrome that I've been with it for like the past 3 or 4 weeks. I'm like, months. I'm like, yes, it is the best in the world and I love it. But it is one of those ragas where it has all the swarams up and down. So I don't know, when I do the arohanam, avarohanam, it always sounds like I'm doing it wrong. So I get into my to my raga mindset. I'm like, Rama, Rama, Sarigama Padani Sa Sa Ni Da Pa Ma Ga Ri Sa. I'm into it. I've gotten into it. I I know you would know how I get into my Shankarabharanam with Hallelujah. Interfaith stuff. Someone growing up in a Western country with Indian Hindu backgrounds. This is how I had to sing Hallelujah for my school concert. It is what it is. But anyway, that's how I get into this one. So this one, it's back and forth. There's no skipping of swaras. There's no specific order that you have to go in, like other problematic ragas. For example, Ridigala is like sa ga ri ga ma, and you're like, please, if you wanted it to be hard, why don't you just become a rock? Because that's what you are, difficult. So which is why it's also really good that this song is in Rupakam Talo, because Adi Talo has always been the bane of my existence. Figuring out how to come back to that end, and then if you miss it, you have to go all the way back again, do all the 8 counts and come back, and I'm just so tired. So with the Rupaka, it's really easy. There's only 1, 2, 3, and then in this one, you don't start at Samat, you start at half, so 1.5. I wonder if there's a word for that. Whatever. So I don't start at Sam. Also, I'm wearing my pajama pants as usual. So I start at 1 there. So the Chadnam, let's just go through the Chadnam. Paluku paluku laku tene loluku mata la do paluku paluku. So it starts at paluku paluku, and that paluku is at pa. So all your swarams should end in ma or da, but there are some cases where it does end in pa, so it's okay. But usually they ask you to end in whatever is on either side of that beginning note. So if I were to do one full avartano in first kalo, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I will start my song. So for example, I have Gare sa ni da pa ma paluku paluku. So that was 7 swaras, but that is in one full avartano if I start at Samat. But here's the thing, you don't need to start at Samat. You can start whenever you want, which is also somewhat problematic. You can also go sarigama, sarigama, paluku paluku. You can do whatever you want. The world is your oyster. Basically, the swaras is the oyster and you are the pearl trying to figure out all these patterns. But it's so difficult because once you start in your patterns, you go all the way around the world. You go up and down, up and down, up and down. That is the issue that I have been having. So how did I combat this issue? Because in my mind, I'm like, excuse me, help. The only sentence formation I know is the arohanam, avarohanam. I don't know how to like go in between. So this is where this is the secret. This is the secret I came up with myself. I maximized all the swaras. I just made it full size. So that's all of the swaras. So I start with lo da all the way to high pa, only because that's usually the range that I tend to go on. I can always try to go down to low pa, but it might happen. Basically, how has this helped me? Because when I'm stuck in like the, I'm like, where do I go? What am I supposed to do? Do I just keep going? No, you don't need to do that. Because now look, I know that when I'm in the, I can go to da ni sa. I can just stay around here. I can go da ni sa re sa ni da sa ni da. I don't think you're allowed to do that. Da sa ni da. Yes, you cannot do that. I don't know why. It's just another one of the bajillion rules they have. So I can go da ni re sa ni da da re sa ni da da ni sa re ni sa re ni da sa ni ni da sa ni da ni. So I can just stay there. Now I have it in my like eyes. I can see. that I don't have to keep going up and down this, because this is the only pattern that I know is like it's ingrained in my head, is the arohanam. So all I do is I just keep going back and forth. But now I can see, no, I can go from the ni sa, I can go the ni ri, I can go the ri, I can do all that. I don't need to go all the way back down to help me back in my the issues. Same with like so basically what you should do when you're first starting is have like 4 swaros that you kind of hang around with at the beginning of your sentence, and then you can start incorporating a 5th one or a 6th one, that kind of stuff, just so that it doesn't feel like you're floundering trying to find like where to go, just so that it looks like you know what you're doing. So for example, I might choose pada. So let me just put pada nisa. I can go pada nisa, ni da pa sa ni da pa so ni da pa ma, and then I can bring in ma because I've already exhausted all the different variations that I can do for that. Pa ma, pa ma ni da pa ni da sa ni da pa ma ga ma pa ni da pa ni sa ni da pa ma ga ma pa. So that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect when you're first starting. It's basically trying to stay around that space, so that you're not going ma pa da ni sa re ga re ma ga re sa ni da pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa da pa ma ga re ga ma pa da ni da. But so you're not doing that. You're not going up and down all the time. Oh, hold on, I need to take a breath. Okay, I'm back. So basically you have this as a visualization, and I know someone will be like, why are you doing that? Why can't you just think about it in your head? Like, aren't you smart enough to figure that out? You know what? Sometimes I didn't learn when I was a child, so I do not have that God-given child peak period, like brain making stuff happening that time period. I am a later learner. I started when I was late in my teens. I was 19 when I started, and that's much past that time period. So it's basically figuring out how things work for you. It would have been great to have learned as a child doing swaros like this, because I'm pretty sure it's easy for them to figure out in their mind like where to go next. They can go sari gari gari gama gari gama gari gama gari 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 gama ma ga gama ga gama gari di, that kind of stuff. But no, I need this because it's helping me stay here. I don't need to go sari ga. I can always go sa ga ma. I can skip re if I want, but in my mind, if I had it only in my mind, I only know that sentence structure, which is sa ri ga ma. So even if I've done all these different things of learning, I'm not going to get that full thing in my head. So I have found this to be very useful and very helpful to have it in your face, especially when you're doing fast and you're like, where do I go, just keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. But when you're in fast, you can kind of figure out, and by fast I mean second kala, you can figure out if you're like da 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 ni da da pa ni da pa ni da ni sa ni da ni sa ni da ni sa pa sa ni da ni sa ni pa da ni sa ni sa da ni sa pa da ni sa ni sa sa ri ga ni sa ni da ni sa ni ga ma ni da ni ga ni da ni sa ni da pa sa ni da ma, that kind of stuff. It just kind of gives you a visualization of where to go. So that is the first thing that I have found very useful. And now the second thing is writing down stuff. So most of this has been copied from musicians, and by musicians I mainly mean my favorite musician, who's Jesudas. And actually, if you go into my browser now, you'll see that there's his videos up there, because I've just been stealing stuff. And by stealing, I mean I will listen to his swarams, and then I'll like take ideas that kind of connect with me, and I'll write it down just so that I know what it feels like to be able to sing something that a professional has done. So he has come up with these intricate patterns, and then I can try doing that, and then that's how it should be when it sounds like good. So for example, I took one for fast one. So this is something I would have never been able to figure out by myself. Sa papa ma papa pa ni da pa sa sa pa ri ri. So that kind of pattern. How would I have come up with that pattern in sa papa, or was it sa mama, sa papa, pa ni da pa sa pa ri ri? That is not in order, as in like in my mind I would have done pa da da. I would not have gone to pa sa pa ri ri. But that kind of gives me ideas of where I can go, where I'm allowed to go. I know it's something that like you are allowed to, but when I see that, I'm like, oh yes, you can move around like that. I can do like whatever I want. I can go sa ma, I can go ri da ma da. I think pani da ma is one that comes a lot in Kalaharpriya. So those kinds of patterns, when you listen to someone in that like larger level, you can get those ideas, you can write it down, and then you can practice in your fast speed. And then obviously it's not going to fit in the same talo unless you come up with like some kind of improvisation to finish off that talo. So it's basically up to you to come up with the same kind of pattern to finish it off. So my throat hurts because I feel like I've been talking for like 10,000 years. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing, and I think it's been really helpful in coming up with lots of fast stuff. Yeah, I hope to come back here soon, but yeah, there's lots of things have been happening. You're probably wondering, hey, has your hair not grown at all since the last time we saw you? Yes, it has grown. It grew all the way down here, but then it was all bleached and damaged, and like I went through a whole blonde period, and it was terrible. It was ugly, and then I grew it out, and I finally have it all cut out. So this is all my regular hair, normal grown hair, no colors, no nothing. So finally, and it feels good. It does not feel crispy or crunchy. But yeah, anything else that has changed? No. So okay, hopefully that helped in some things. But yeah, see ya.